Revealed, the incredible life-changing moment when a homeless boy said, "Don T, drink that coffee." The morning sun barely broke over the crumbling skyline of the city when Tom stumbled into the diner, tiredness clawing at his bones. He wiped a hand across his brow and steeled himself for another long shift, heart heavy with worries for his young son, Billy. As the morning rush began, the smell of sizzling pancakes filled the air. A delicate hope fluttered inside him. This hard work was for Billy, after all. Paychecks may be slim, but love ran deep in their cramped, run-down apartment. Outside, a shuffling noise tugged Tom's attention. There, framed in the diner's entrance, stood a boy about Billy's age, dirty and ragged but with eyes that sparkled with an odd kind of knowing. Sam, the boy, had been watching, perhaps judging. Just as Tom absent-mindedly reached for a steaming cup of coffee, Sam bolted forward, urgency propelling him. "Don't drink that coffee," he shouted, breathless and wide-eyed. Stunned, Tom froze. The boisterous clinks of the diner faded into silence. Sam's voice was a lifeline thrown into Tom's ocean of weariness. The boy's quick thinking diverted danger. The coffee pot was filthy, but Tom only noticed Sam standing there, feeling the weight of both fear and surprise in the air. Looking into Sam's earnest face, Tom saw more than a homeless kid. He saw a mirror reflecting his own struggles. "Why?" Tom managed, glancing at the pot now. Sam stepped closer, his voice dropping as if confessing something sacred. "I've been there. I've seen what it does," he said, a tremor in his tone. Instinctively, Tom's heart ached for the boy. They stood worlds apart, yet at that moment, their humanity intertwined. As Tom shifted out of the moment, he noticed the onlookers' fellow waitresses, patrons gazing, surprised by this connection. A brief spark ignited whispers around the diner, hearts softening to the overlap of their lives. Mistrust tugged at Tom, the stigma of homelessness loomed heavily. Yet, the boy's presence invoked a curious empathy. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Days turned into weeks, and Tom found himself torn. Between shifts, he peeled back layers of Sam's story. The boy spoke of cold nights and scavenging for scraps, but amidst trials, he held tight to hope, recognizing resilience in hardship. Their bond grew. They shared stolen moments of laughter amidst the clatter of dishes and the chaos of the diner. But the community buzzed. Heated opinions flared over breakfast tables about aiding those living on the margins. Neighboring voices separated into factions of charity, understanding, and responsibility, tensions bubbling ever closer to the surface. Tom felt at war with himself, protective of Billy yet drawn to Sam. As the diner bustled with patrons and conversations, Tom stood watch over the burgeoning friendship. The debate on how to help echoed louder, shadows lengthening. He wrestled with his heart as a meeting loomed. What was the true definition of worth? Would he stand alongside the warmth of compassion, or retreat into self-preservation? In a moment of reflective panic, as chairs shifted and voices drowned one another out, Tom wondered if standing up would mean tearing apart everything he held dear. He could almost hear the heartbeat of the community trembling beneath the surface, waiting for a ripple to send waves crashing through preconceptions. Could he choose differently, risk everything for what might be? Tom stood behind the counter, dishing up orders and attempting to shake off the weight pressing against his chest. Each clink of plates and hum of conversation reminded him of the life he was trying to protect. Yet the warmth in his heart, sparked by Sam's unexpected friendship, felt like an ember glowing in the dark. Would that spark be enough to light a fire of change? As he glanced towards the door, he saw Sam sitting at one of the small tables, a plate of pancakes before him. The boy had become a regular fixture, seemingly part of the diner's fabric, like the vinyl booths and flickering neon. But this morning, Sam was quiet, staring out the window as if he were lost in thought. Tom could tell something weighed on him. A sudden clang broke through Tom's daze. It was Mrs. Jenkins, a local patron, her voice snapping like a whip. "I don't understand why we have to keep feeding these street kids," she exclaimed, barely hiding her disdain. The eyes of other customers turned, some expressing agreement, while others looked on with pity. Tom felt the air thicken as the tension wrapped around him tightly. He hesitated, the words clawing at his throat. Should he defend Sam, the boy who had saved him from that foul coffee? As the chatter swirled, Tom noticed Sam's small frame tense, his hands gripping the edge of the table. He saw the boy's vulnerability emerge again, that familiar ache twisted within him. "Because they're people," Tom finally said, finding his voice. Silence engulfed the diner, and all eyes shifted from Sam back to him. "They're not just street kids. They have names, dreams, and they need help." Mrs. Jenkins huffed, rolling her eyes. "What if they're just trying to take advantage of us?" Tom felt his face flush. "And what if they're not? What if we're missing the opportunity to show compassion? To treat them like human beings?" A murmur of conflicting opinions rippled through the room. Tom quickly glanced at Sam, hoping to shield him from the ugly barbs of ignorance that filled the air. To his surprise, he saw the boy looking back, his gaze steady and clear. In that moment, they were connected, hearts beating in unison, swinging between fear and hope. Just when the tension seemed suffocating, a little girl sitting near the back broke through the heavy atmosphere. She held her mother's hand and pointed right at Sam. "Mommy, he looks like my brother," she called, her voice innocent and bright. "Can we give him some pancakes?" Laughter erupted around the diner. It was light-hearted, but it ignited something deeper within Tom. A reminder that children can't see the barriers that adults had built. What lay before him was a moment of unity, a tease of what could be. Tom felt a new resolve forming in him. This was bigger than him. Bigger than his fears for Billy. This was about community, connection, and understanding. As he turned back to Sammy, he noticed a flicker of something in Sam's eyes. Hope. Recognition. Whatever it was, it made him feel alive, emboldened. But even as the laughter faded, and the discussions turned more light-hearted, Tom could feel the ground beneath him shifting. Choices had to be made. The community was restless, and the wall of opinions was closing in. What would it take for him to stand firm? What sacrifices would he need to make? The door to the diner swung open, a gust of cold air blowing in. A stranger stepped inside, eyes scanning the room, and suddenly, all conversations halted. Tom felt a nervous energy thrumming through him. Who was this new arrival, and what would this unexpected moment mean for him, Sam, and the fragile bridges they were trying to build? The tension surged as they waited, each heartbeat echoing with the possibilities of change. Tom's gut twisted as the stranger took a step further into the diner. The man was tall, with a shadowy beard and hair that seemed to have picked up the road's dust. His coat was tattered, barely holding together. What was his story? The diner, usually filled with familiar faces, felt foreign now, every pair of eyes turning from the newcomer to Tom and Sam. "Who's that?" someone whispered from the corner booth. The buzzing hum of chatter drowned out the urgency behind it. Tom's heart raced. He felt the weight of everyone's gaze, waiting for him to respond. The stranger locked eyes with Sam and, for a fleeting moment, Tom saw something shift in Sam's expression. Recognition? Fear? It was hard to say. "Can I help you?" Tom finally asked, forcing his voice to steady against the rising tide of anxiety. The man hesitated, taking a moment to size up the diner's occupants. He looked tired, worn down by life but not defeated. "I'm looking for someone," he replied, his voice deep and gravelly. "A boy named Sam." Tom's breath caught in his throat. A swirling mix of anger and protectiveness filled him. How did this man know Sam? Did he pose a threat? Sam had already weathered too many storms. Suddenly, a chill filled the diner, not just from the cold air creeping in through the door. He glanced back at Sam, who had gone pale, his eyes wide. "I don't know you," the boy stammered, his voice shaky. "You don't have to be scared." The man softened his tone, taking a tentative step closer. "I'm not here to hurt you." Then why are you here?" Sam shot back, a spark of defiance igniting within his small frame. "What do you want?" The tension ratcheted up, like a coiled spring. Tom could feel a collective inhale from the surrounding tables, all eyes honed in on the trio at the center. It was a moment that could go any number of ways. "I'm your dad, Sam," the stranger said, his words hanging heavily in the air. "I've come to find you." A moment of silence enveloped the diner. Gasps rose from the booths, and some patrons shifted uneasily in their seats as disbelief washed over them. Tom felt his heart stop. Dad? This man? The very idea seemed absurd. Sam had never mentioned his father. "No. You're lying." Sam shook his head violently, as if willing the words to evaporate. "You can't be my dad. You left." "I had to." The man reached out toward Sam, desperation etched across his features. "I was scared. I know I messed up, but I came back hoping." Suddenly, Tom slammed his hand on the counter, the sound cutting through the tension like a knife. "You think just walking back into his life makes everything okay? You don't get to just show up after all this time." The man backed away, startled. "I know it looks that way, but I didn't know where he was. I didn't know how to find him." Tom's pulse hammered in his ears. He could feel his fists clenching. "You think that's an excuse? You've given him nothing but pain." "Listen." The man begged, eyes pleading. "You don't understand. I've been searching for years. I thought I lost him." Sam's expression flickered, the defiance mingling with heartbreak. "Tom, maybe." Sam whispered, but the words barely escaped him. "No, Sam. You don't have to do this. You don't have to talk to him," Tom urged, forcing calm to the surface as fury raged beneath. But Sam stood frozen, caught between an ember of hope and the ashes of betrayal. The diner was filled with an anxious silence. Every face was a mix of curiosity and judgment. And the moment hung there, heavy, before breaking like glass. Would Sam reach for hope, or would he close the door on a past that had haunted him? What would Tom do next? As those questions lingered, Tom saw the flicker of fear in Sam's eyes give way to something else, determination. Would that be enough to protect him from the storm brewing just outside? Sam took a deep breath, his gaze shifting from Tom to the man who claimed to be his father. A whirlwind of emotions flickered across his face: confusion, anger, and that glimmer of hope that Tom feared. What if this stranger was telling the truth? The idea felt like an insidious snake creeping into his heart, coiling around the fragile corners of his battered trust. "Look, you can't just come in here and expect everything to just fix itself," Sam finally managed, his voice surprisingly steady. "You don't know anything about me. You didn't care to find me before. Why now?" The man opened his mouth to respond, yet no words came. He seemed caught between desperation and remorse, emotions dancing across his features like shadows in the dim light of the diner. "I didn't know how," he said finally, his tone softening. "But every day, I thought about you. I tried to reach out, to find you. I thought I had lost you for good." Tom stepped closer, protective instincts surging. "And you think those words matter now? You think that chasing a ghost suddenly makes you a father?" Each word dripped with a mix of contempt and protectiveness. The man lowered his gaze, his shoulders slumping. "I know I don't have the right to ask for forgiveness, but I need him to understand." Sam planted his feet firm on the diner floor, blocking the man's approach. "I don't want to understand. You should have been here when I needed you." His voice cracked, revealing the vulnerability underneath the indignation. A soft murmur rippled through the diner patrons. Eyes darted between the three, gauging the situation like spectators at a tense match, unsure of who to root for. "Sam, listen," Tom implored, his voice low and urgent. "You don't have to do this alone. You have me. I care about you, and you're safe here. He stepped into Sam's line of sight, trying to shield the boy from the turmoil storming around them. But Sam shook his head, brushing past Tom's support like a gust of wind. What if he really is my dad? What if there's a piece of me that belongs to him? Tom's chest tightened. Each word cut deeper, and he felt helpless as he watched Sam wrestle with emotions that were years in the making. Sam, him being your father doesn't change what he did, Tom said, his voice strained but still firm. You deserve more than this. You deserve someone who will stay. I'm trying to be brave, Tom. Sam's eyes sparkled with unshed tears, challenging Tom's protective stance. But I don't know how. For a moment, time froze. The world outside the diner rushed on, completely oblivious. But this moment? It felt monumental, loaded with decisions that could shape Sam's future in ways Tom couldn't fathom. Then, the man took a cautious step forward, cautiously closing the distance. I'm here now. I want to be part of your life, Sam. Please, I'm begging you to let me try. The words hung heavy in the air, wrapping around Sam, pulling him toward an uncertain connection. A flicker of hope danced in those big, innocent eyes, and Tom knew there was no stopping it. Maybe I want that, Sam admitted, voice barely above a whisper, as if he feared the words might hold too much power. Tom felt a surge of protectiveness and despair all at once. Had Sam really just opened the door to his past? And when the man's hand reached out, trembling yet determined, aimed right at Sam as if to seal an unspoken promise. Just give me a chance, he murmured. But was this what Sam truly wanted? Tom felt his heart hammering, the weight of the moment smothering him. How could he let this unfold without knowing what dangers lurked beyond the surface? Before Sam could respond, the diner door swung open again, letting in a rush of cold air, a gust that carried with it the smell of rain and a distant siren wailing in the background. Instinctively, Tom turned to look, sensing a shift, a sign that something bigger was on its way. What awaited them just outside the diner, and how would it change everything? The chill from the door lingered in the air as Tom's eyes darted to the entrance. He wasn't just worried about the unexpected cold, there was something about the sudden gust that felt ominous, like a prelude to a storm. Sam stood frozen, caught between a dawning hope and the storm brewing within him. The stranger's hand hovered mid-air, waiting, trembling, almost as if fearing the weight of the decision about to be made. Sam. Tom whispered, his voice desperate and raw. Don't let him pull you in. Remember what we talked about? Remember how you fought for every bit of stability in your life? But the man, sensing loss, tried to bridge the gap. I know I made mistakes, but you have to understand I've been searching for you. I never wanted to leave you alone in this world. Sam's resolve wavered as those words sank in, glimmers of past memories dancing in his head. Would there really be a chance for them? The aching longing for familial connection gripped his heart, and despite Tom's protests, his hand inched out toward the man's his father's outstretched palm. Suddenly, a voice cut through the air, sharp and urgent. Don't drink that coffee. A boy, no older than Sam, burst through the door, panting heavily. His eyes were wide with fear, emotions spilling over his every word. Tom spun around. What? He gasped, taken aback by the sudden interruption. The diner was still, tension thick enough to cut. It's poisoned. Please, listen to me. The boy's presence sent echoes through the air, and every patron in the diner turned to look. Sam's hand froze before it could touch his father. What do you mean poisoned? He demanded, heart pounding not just from the moment's intensity, but with a prickle of disbelief at the boy's wild claim. I saw someone. They put something in that coffee. He shouted, panic-laced. Tom's protective instincts surged again. Who? Why would anyone do that? The notion of danger lurking in the diner snapped him back into focus, and the boy continued, urgency sharpening his tone. I don't know. I just saw it was quick, and I tried to stop them. He took a breath, sweat glistening on his brow. Please. You have to trust me. The crowd murmured in disbelief, and Sam's heart raced for a different reason now. Fear was here, disrupting what was meant to be a moment of hope. "Tom!" he shouted, voice cracking under the weight of confusion. "What do I do?" Tom felt the ground shift underneath him, eyes flicking between Sam and the man who identified himself as Sam's father. This was about more than connections now. "We need to get out of here." "Stay close, don't go near the coffee." Sam hesitated, that flickering hope beginning to dim in the chaotic surge of danger. The man's expression darkened, a mix of fear, concern, and guilt tangled in his features. "Sam, listen. If you don't trust me to protect you now, But before he could finish, the diner door swung shut, a finality that echoed in the silence. The realization washed over them all. The danger was real, and trust was slipping away just like the moments where hope had begun to take root. "Sam, please." Tom grabbed his arm, desperation in his grip. But Sam looked at Tom, then at the man who claimed to be his father, an impossibly tangled web of emotions raging in his heart. What was his choice now, with danger waiting around every corner? Could he risk placing his faith in someone who had walked away before, or was the greater danger in remaining here among strangers, blind to what lurked in the shadows? As the sirens grew louder in the distance, the air thickened with tension, and the diner felt like a ticking clock. Time ticked away for them all. The question now was one of trust, and whether they could face the threat together or let it tear them apart. Would Sam dare to grasp at hope again and reach out for his father? Or would he cling to Tom, the one who consistently showed up? And just then, as the boy's warning faded into the background, the coffee pot began to smoke, sending a shudder through everyone gathered. What would happen next as suspicions rose and hearts raced? The oil-slick smoke curling from the coffee pot snaked through the air, thick and dark. It danced in the mingling scents of fried food and old furniture, creating a fog that wrapped around Sam like a lingering doubt. The boy next to him looked small, almost fragile, caught in a moment bigger than life itself. "Tom," Sam's voice came out strained. "What do we do?" He felt a flicker of panic, as though the ground beneath him was giving way. He glanced back at his father, uncertainty etched into his expression. The man who claimed to be his dad stood there, unsure whether to take a step forward or back, caught in the storm of emotions surging through them all. "Stay together," Tom urged, his grip tightening on Sam's arm. He might have been trying to reassure Sam, but it was as if he also needed the anchor of his presence. "We can't trust anybody right now." "I didn't do anything," the boy shouted, his hands trembling as he stepped closer to them. "I just wanted to help. The coffee is bad, I swear." But the words hung heavy in the silence, doubt creeping into the air. There was this fragile moment, like the calm before a storm, where everything could either fracture or change forever. Why would someone do this? Sam whispered, his heart racing as he began to think of all the mysteries and dangers lurking in the world. It had always felt so contained, his small circle of life, but now it was bursting open, filled with shadows and what-ifs. "Maybe someone wants to hurt your father," Tom said, his voice lowered, just hush enough for Sam to catch the urgency. "We need to figure out who and why before this spirals out of control." That suggestion struck Sam deeper than expected. The man claiming to be his father had been absent for so long. Could he be a target of some bigger scheme? A chill crept up his spine as he recalled the longing he once had to know this man better. Could it really lead to violence or danger? The crowd was whispering now, eyes darting around nervously, faces pale. Tom moved them closer to the back of the diner, a protective barrier forming round them. Each heartbeat was a countdown. "Get ready to run," he covered Sam's hand with his own, grounding him. "No matter what happens. If anything feels off, don't look back." The boy peered into Sam's eyes. "If we wait too long, it'll be too late." Suddenly, and without warning, the door slammed open again. An officer, breathless and hurried, burst inside, his badge glinting ominously in the fluorescent lights. "Everyone! Out of here! We have a situation." Panic erupted, causing the old diner to become a whirlwind of movement. Tables were tipped, chairs scraped against the linoleum floor, but amidst the chaos, Sam stood rooted, staring at the man who called himself his father. It felt like a cage was closing around him, a trap filled with secrets and hurt. "Sam, we have to go," Tom shouted, urgency slicing through the tumult. But as he turned to leave, Sam hesitated, his eyes lingering on his father. "Are you coming? Can I trust you?" The words felt heavy, laden with expectation. Time hung suspended as the sirens wailed louder outside, a haunting echo of every choice that lay before him. With the weight of trust swinging precariously between them, Sam knew he had to choose: leap into the unknown with his father or flee into safety alongside Tom and the boy who had warned them all. As the haze of smoke thickened, he felt the world narrow down to a single moment of decision. The clock was ticking, and he had to decide who to stand with before it was too late. Would he grasp the threads of trust, diving into the heart of the storm, or seek the comfort of the known? As uncertainty flooded his mind, he realized the answer wouldn't come easy, and the stakes were higher than ever. The air buzzed with possibilities. What would he do? Sam's heart pounded in his chest like a drum, an urgent rhythm urging him to make a choice. The chaos of the diner peeled away into a blur, the world around him narrowing into a tunnel of sound and motion. He glanced back at Tom, who was shifting nervously, his eyes darting towards the exits, then again at his father, who was still standing in the thickening smoke, his face a mask of uncertainty. "Sam." Tom's voice sliced through the buzz, dragging Sam back to the moment. "We need to decide now." The urgency in Tom's words felt like a slap, forcing Sam to confront his emotions. He couldn't shake the memories of nights spent feeling invisible, wishing he could really connect with the man who stood before him. But doubt clawed at him. Could someone whose presence felt so foreign truly protect him? "Please, just come with us," Tom urged, his grip tightening. Sam could feel the desperation in his friend. Tom had always stood by him, a constant in a series of uncertainties. And then there was the boy, still trembling, his eyes wide with fear. Water streaked down his face, glistening under the diner's flickering lights. "Please, don't drink the coffee," he shouted again, as if his words could somehow cut through the confusion. There was something genuine in his plea, a fear so raw that it resonated deep within Sam. "You don't know what's in it." With a sudden spark of determination, Sam took a step back towards Tom, the familiarity pulling him like a lifeline. But a flicker of guilt washed over him at leaving his father behind. "Sam!" The shout jolted him again. It was the officer, urgency in his tone, an undeniable authority. "You need to go, now." The situation pressed against him like a weight, thick and suffocating. Sam ran a hand through his hair, his mind racing. If he stayed with his father, would it lead to danger? Or if he followed Tom, would that mean abandoning the hope of reconnecting with a lost part of himself? His father's eyes locked onto his, searching for something reassurance, perhaps. But Sam couldn't find it in himself to give it. Instead, he instinctively reached for Tom's hand, feeling that bond anchor him amid the chaos. "I can't do this," Sam cried, mostly to himself. "Who do I trust?" "Listen to me," Tom insisted, urgency bleeding into his voice as he pulled Sam closer. "We have no proof that he is who he says he is. We have to protect ourselves." The smoky haze was suffocating now, shadows twisting and darkening. Sam felt a shiver run through him, a warning, an instinct. He realized he had to act, to choose. With a rapid breath, he made his choice. "I'm with Tom." Just as the words left his mouth, a loud crash echoed through the diner. Someone had knocked over a table in the pandemonium. The noise echoed like a gunshot among the frightened patrons, sending a jolt through Sam. He spun around just in time to see a shadowy figure appear in the doorway, face half hidden under a hood. The crowd froze, a collective intake of breath echoing like a silent scream. Without thinking, Sam took a firm grip of Tom's hand, ready to sprint toward the back exit. But the boy was still there, helpless, wide-eyed, and terrified. The scene erupted around them, people scrambling, some crying, and others shouting for help. There was no time for second thoughts now. "Come with us," Sam yelled to the boy, hoping against hope that he wouldn't be left behind. He knew he couldn't save everyone, but he also couldn't leave someone else to face the danger alone. Just as they began to move, the figure in the doorway stepped forward, and the room seemed to hold its breath. "What do you want with him?" Sam shouted, confidence flickering but the fear lingering. As the answer loomed in the stillness that followed, Sam's heart raced at the realization that they were on the brink of something far bigger than they had ever imagined. What awaited them on the other side of that door? Secrets, danger, or perhaps the answers to questions Sam hadn't even dared to ask. The moment of truth was here, and he couldn't escape it. The shadowy figure stepped into the light, revealing piercing eyes and a chilling grin. Instinctively, Sam took a step back, tightening his grip on Tom's hand as dread crawled up his spine. "Who are you?" he called, his voice steady despite the pounding in his chest. The figure tilted their head, as if considering how to respond. "I'm someone who can help or hurt," they said slowly, their voice smooth with danger. "Depends on your choice." Tom's breath quickened beside him. "We have to go, Sam," he urged, glancing around frantically as frightened faces turned toward the commotion. But the figure moved closer, their hand flicking to the side and revealing what looked like a small bottle, shimmering ominously. "I wouldn't trust the coffee if I were you," they said, their smile widening. "Not everything is as it seems." The boy's voice pierced through the fog of fear. "He's right. You don't know what that coffee can do." His tremor grew more pronounced, as if the truth was too heavy for him to carry. "We don't have time," Tom insisted, pulling Sam toward the back exit. The noise in the diner was rising, frantic cries and the sound of shuffling feet. The terror in the room felt palpable, almost like a living thing that clouded their judgment. "Sam, we have to go." But Sam hesitated. The boy was staring at him, desperation etched in his features. "Please. You have to trust me. It's dangerous." Torn between loyalty and fear, Sam's heartbeat thundered in his ears. The coffee, the very thing everyone seemed to be drinking, had suddenly become the focus of a larger unknown. The simple act of being in the diner had morphed into something nightmarish, and Sam felt the walls closing in around him. "Listen," he said, trying to catch Tom's gaze. "What if he's right? What if the coffee is poison?" "Sam." Tom's voice snapped him back. "We can't stay here. We need to make it to safety. Now." The figure continued to loom, watching them with a detached curiosity. "You're running out of time. What will it be?" Sam's mind raced a whirlwind of thoughts about family, trust, and the value of life itself. The stakes felt impossibly high. In this moment of crisis, he thought about his father. The man he had been so desperate to connect with, and the questions that remained unanswered. Had he been blind, clinging to the hope of a bond that didn't exist? Or had his father truly been the one to protect him from whatever was happening? Could he stand alone against the unraveling chaos? I need to know." Sam shouted, surprising even himself. "What do you know about the coffee?" Grinning, the figure replied coolly, "More than you can imagine. Run with your friend, or stay and find out. It's your choice." Sam's heart raced as he saw the panic in Tom's eyes. The urgency of their situation pressed into his bones. He had devoted too long to searching for answers, but at what cost? With a leap of faith, he called back to the boy. "Come with us. We can't leave you here." "Do you really think that's a good idea?" the figure said, the grin on their face growing wider. But the moment Sam reached for the boy, he felt it, a surge of something strong and unyielding. In that instant, he realized he couldn't let fear control him any longer. Not when lives were on the line. As they moved toward each other, the diner erupted into chaos once more. The figure seemed to retreat, blending with the shadows as laughter echoed, chilling their bones. "Sam!" Tom shouted again, urgency in his voice almost breaking. Sam felt hope and doubt fight within him. They were just steps away from an exit. Safety or disaster awaited them beyond those doors. But as he took another step, he heard the boy whisper, "Don't trust him whatever you do." Sam hesitated, the weight of the boy's words anchoring him, just as the air crackled with tension. "What will happen next?" Sam whispered, the world suddenly tilting with uncertainty around him. In that moment, everything was on the brink, and he knew some truths were yet to be uncovered. Would they escape, and at what cost? And as the door loomed closer, shadows danced ominously behind them. Sam felt as if time stretched into infinity. Every heartbeat drummed in his ears like a warning. He could sense Tom's urgency, the silent drive to escape this place alive. But the boy, this mysterious figure standing before them, had caught his attention. What was it about him? Why was he so desperate for their trust? "Sam, this isn't a game." Tom pulled again, nearly dragging him backwards. But Sam's feet felt glued to the floor. The boy's terrified face haunted him. "What if it's true?" Sam asked, his voice almost a whisper. "What if we're walking into something worse?" The figure observed them, their grin fixed like a vice. "Delightful, isn't it? Choice, sweet choice. But life isn't a game, my dear. It's a dance with danger. You may end up paying the steepest price for a simple sip." Those last words echoed in Sam's mind. The coffee was all around them, tables full, hands grasping cups, faces clouded with oblivion. He could smell the rich aroma, but now it seemed to burn in his throat. "Forget the coffee," Tom shouted, yanking harder. "Let us move." But Sam remained frozen, a battle raging inside him. He thought again about his father, about how their last conversation ended abruptly. Had he been trying to warn him too? Hadn't he always talked about the dangers of the world, always reminding Sam to think critically? "If you don't act fast, this diner will swallow you whole," the figure taunted, stepping in closer. The light above flickered like a dimming bulb, playing tricks on Sam's eyes. "Is the truth worth it?" the boy pleaded, voice strained. "You have no idea what you're up against." Finally, with resolve, Sam tore his gaze away and turned toward Tom. "What if he's warning us about something? What if it's all intertwined?" In a breathless rush, Sam took a step forward, defying Tom's pull. "I can't just leave him here. We need to know." "Are you crazy?" Tom shouted, his voice rising against the clamor. Panic surged through the diner, with many still blissfully sipping their drinks, unaware of the storm swelling around them. With the entire room trembling in a swirling mass of chaos, Sam stretched out his hand toward the boy. "Come with us." "Don't." The figure hissed, eyes narrowing. "They'll come for you. You think you can escape this? The coffee doesn't just lure you, it marks you." Fear hardened in Sam's chest, yet the boy's eyes glinted with a mixture of hope and desperation. Before Sam realized it, the boy dashed forward, clasping Sam's hand. Their palms met, igniting an electric jolt of connection. "Thank you," he gasped, pulling back. "Keep moving," Tom shouted as he finally broke free from the anchoring dread and yanked Sam away from the madness. They stumbled together toward the back exit, the boy close behind. But just as they reached the door, it slammed shut with a thunderous bang, as if the world itself had decided to conspire against him. The laughter from the figure behind them echoed louder, almost mocking. "What are you doing?" the boy cried, panic sparking anew. "It's a trap," Sam yelled back, heart racing. They turned, backing away from the door slowly, but it was clear they were being cornered by something much bigger than themselves. "Don't take the bait," the boy whispered fiercely, squeezing Sam's arm. "We need to get out now." That's when Sam noticed a flicker across the diner walls, shadows creeping, multiplying like a dark tide, eager to pull them back into the depths. "Which way?" Sam gasped, his breath quickening as adrenaline pumped through him. Suddenly, the lights flickered again, plunging the diner into an eerie darkness for just a moment. When they returned, the figure had vanished altogether, but the laughter hung in the air like an aftertaste. Uncertainty clouded every corner of their minds, the stakes raised impossibly high. Sam could feel the weight of the boy's presence beside them, the life that now depended on his choices. As the chaos swirled, Sam clenched his fists, determination igniting deep within. He understood then that he wasn't just fighting for himself. He was fighting for truth, for safety, for connection. Something every heart craved. But just as he thought they might find a path to freedom, the murmurs from the diner shifted, growing into a cacophony that rattled his spirit. And in that very moment, a single cup spiraled across the floor, shattering in 1,000 pieces like glass, signifying a shattering reality. "Sam!" came Tom's yell, just before darkness swallowed the light once more. What unseen danger awaited them as they finally stepped into the unknown? The air in the diner crackled with tension as the lights flickered ominously, casting fleeting shadows upon the patrons caught in the whirlwind of chaos. Sam felt a surge of panic alongside a desperation to protect not just himself but also the frightened boy at his side. The diner had morphed from a sanctuary into a trap, with every moment pulling them deeper into danger. "Out! We need to get out now," Tom urged, his voice a blend of fear and determination, drawing Sam back to reality. The door remained stubbornly shut, blocking their escape like a stone wall. "Sam, trust me. We can't let whatever that is control us." Tom took a firm grip on Sam's shoulder, grounding him amid the chaos. The boy's fear echoed in Sam's chest, fueling a rising determination to stand against the looming shadows. But just then, a piercing scream cut through the air, and chaos erupted. An older woman had drunk from the tainted coffee, her face twisted in agony as she collapsed. The murmur of worry swiftly morphed into chaos. People began backing away, pointing fingers, whispering accusations, eyes wild with panic. "Stay with me," Sam shouted to the frightened boy as he fought his way through the scattering bodies, eyes locked on Thomas leading the way toward the back exit. He could feel the weight of fear hanging on their shoulders, threatening to crush them under its enormity. "Why are they all panicking?" the boy yelled, glancing back toward the tumult. "They don't know what's happening." "That's exactly it," Tom replied, his voice rising above the din. "People panic when they feel threatened, when they don't understand." Sam's heart raced. He now understood the panic surrounding them. The coffee was a catalyst, something bringing out the worst in people. It drove them to cling to fear, doubt, and vulnerability. But amidst the chaos, the revelation of unity sparked within him. He wasn't alone, neither was the boy. Together they could fight against whatever darkness encroached upon their lives. "Here," Sam said urgently, pulling the boy alongside him. "We have to focus." "What's your name?" "Max," the boy shouted, clutching Sam's arm. "We need to find a way to warn everyone. They need to see the truth." Sam realized, bolstered by newfound courage. "Come on." Behind the counter. With urgency coursing through his veins, Sam led the way as they ducked behind the diner counter, navigating the chaos unfolding in furious waves. He could still hear the distant sirens, notice the tension in the air thickening with confusion and rage sparked by the unknown. "What's happening?" Max asked, his voice trembling. "People are scared, and scared people do crazy things." Tom interjected quickly, glancing around and spotting a few patrons who remained somewhat calm, those who had noticed the commotion and were beginning to piece things together. "We need to help them understand." Sam took a deep breath, rallying purpose amidst the swirling storm. "Max, can you shout out to everyone what you saw?" Clarion determination washed over Max. "Yes. They need to hear it." He steeled himself and inched away from the counter. "Listen up," he called, voice trembling but loud enough to pierce the fear. "The coffee is bad. You have to stop drinking it. Everyone, listen." His words hung in the air, stirring a few scattered patrons to pause, raising confused and panicked faces. Sam felt a rush of admiration for Max and his bravery, but the lingering doubt still surrounded them like a suffocating fog. "Don't drink the coffee," Sam added, joining in. "We have to figure out what's happening here. Trust us." The crowd seemed caught between disbelief and fear, yet a ripple of recognition began to flow through them. They were journalists, teachers, students, ordinary people drawn together by a common struggle. They were powerful, capable of driving change. As fear turned to doubt, the shadows began peeling back, and Sam pressed on, facing the crowd with resolve. If you don't know what's in that coffee, stop drinking. We can't just stand here, let us find out who did this. With a spark of rebellion igniting in their eyes. Patrons turned, followers of a common purpose, embracing courage, daring to reclaim their space. Voices began mingling, galvanizing each other, drawing strength from one another. Tom nodded in approval, a renewed fire building in his gaze. Together, we can prove we're stronger than fear. We won't let it destroy us. With determination binding their hearts, they advanced, pushing against the tide of uncertainty towards the stunned staff behind the counter, their allies. As more voices rose to protest against the truth of the tainted coffee, a surge of unity pulsed through the diner like electricity. The air thickened with the realization that they were not merely victims, they were a community, bonded and resilient. As the final pieces clicked into place, a shadow fell across the door, the figure appearing once again, smirking. What's this? They taunted, but this time there were no quivers of doubt in the air. The crowd stood as one, ready to confront the unknown, united against the rising tide of darkness. In that moment, the shroud of fear crumbled, and hope blossomed anew. They had rallied, broken through the chains of isolation, fear transformed into courage. Sam, with the boy Max and Tom by his side, truly felt that together they could face whatever lay ahead. But as the figure's eyes darkened with malice, an urgent question filled Sam's heart. Was this the beginning of a new fight, one that would unite them all, or simply a pause before the next storm? With uncertainty still looming around them, the collective heartbeats echoed as a promise. Together, they could withstand any future that awaited them beyond fear and into the light. Before the confrontation erupted, Sam couldn't help but feel the electricity of connection in the air, ready to spark into something undeniably powerful. It was their moment together, they'd reclaim everything worth fighting for. And before anyone else could sip their coffee, they would ensure the truth was heard loud and clear. Now, as we wrap up this incredible story, I need you to act. You need to subscribe immediately. Don't wait. If you want to be part of our next exclusive journeys, hit that button now. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep stories like this alive. Comment below to share your feelings about this transformation, your thoughts on Sam's choices. We want to hear from you. And share instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful tale of courage and hope. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Thank you for being with us on this journey.